There was no place specially assigned for the worship of Doni Polo. So when I asked them the reason for it, they told me that they truly believe that God is everywhere. Doni Polo is in me, Doni Polo is in you, and she is there in every creation. So two things were very common throughout my childhood. One, this constant influx of people coming from the northeastern regions to my family, coupled with interesting stories about their culture told by my father. Tribal studies, Northeast India, both being so vast subjects, I zeroed down my research area to Ziro. Not Z-E-R-O, Z-I-R-O. Ziro is a small, beautiful village in the lower Subansiri district of Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh, called as the land of rising sun, is a home of 26 major tribes and more than 110 sub-tribes. So I decided to focus on two tribes who live in and around Ziro, the Apatanis and Nishis. I wanted to know more about their religious ideas, their beliefs, their faiths, practices, rituals, and so on. So I started finding out some material, some references, some books, some scriptures so that I could get information. But to my surprise, I got to know that though both these tribes have their languages, they do not have a script of their own. And neither do they have any scriptures. It's only the oral tradition through which their religious ideas are passed on from one generation to the other. I still remember my first few days of data collection, when we went to collect data from Nishi and Apatani families, and they plainly refused to give me any data. Some of them literally shut the door on my face. I was really frustrated, demotivated, even thought of quitting. But thankfully, this did not become a permanent feature of my study. When I talked to these tribals and explained them the reasons why I have gone there, and explained them the importance of documenting their own religious ideas, they wholeheartedly accepted me in their families, their social gatherings, their festivals. In fact, they helped me take my interviews, and at times, they performed the role of interpreter and translator for me. So through the interviews of Apatani and Nishi priests, I started getting to know about their tribal religion known as Doni Poloism. Doni Poloism is one of the very few tribal religions still practiced in Arunachal Pradesh. Doni Poloism is a combination of two words, Doni and Polo. Doni means the sun and Polo means the moon. So essentially, these tribes pray the sun and moon as their gods. Now, worship of sun and moon is quite common in many cultures. But the unique thing about Doni Poloism is that they consider the sun as a female god. They believe that the entire creation has been born out of her, and therefore they refer to her as Ane Doni, or Mother Sun. The moon is a father god, and he is believed to be the guardian of time. It was quite later in my study that I realized the true meaning of the word Doni Polo. Though Doni Polo means sun and moon, but when they refer to Doni Polo, when they take the name Doni Polo, they are not really referring to the sun and moon visible in the sky. They are referring to something more abstract, over, above, and beyond the sun and moon. They talk about an abstract concept of God who is formless, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and is everywhere. I went to almost every Apatani and Nishi house during my research, but in none of the houses that I could find any picture, any image, any idol of Doni Polo. Even in their common community areas, there was no place specially assigned for the worship of Doni Polo. So when I asked them the reason for it, they told me that they truly believe that God is everywhere. Doni Polo is in me, Doni Polo is in you, and she is there in every creation. So they don't feel any need to restricting her to a particular place like a temple. And that is the reason why they do not have temples. I had slowly started realizing that under the seemingly simple ideas of these tribals, there lies profound philosophical principles. As I started digging further, I realized that along with the omnipresence of God, they believe in another concept, the soul. But though they believe in soul, they do not believe in other concepts which are related to soul. Say, for example, rebirth, heaven, or hell. According to Donipoloism, every person after his death, his soul goes to a place known as Nelly. And they describe that the Nelly is somewhere below this earth. And Nelly is not like heaven or hell, as we may imagine. So people don't go there because they will enjoy there, or the sinners don't go there as a punishment. So this Nelly is just a replica of the life on earth. So irrespective of our good or bad karmas, we all are going to go to Nelly. And in Nelly, we are not going to enjoy or we are not going to suffer. We are just going to continue to lead the same life as we did on earth. I'll give you an example to elaborate on this point. Through my conversations with Nishi and Apatani people, I got to know one thing, that both these tribes consider divorce as an unethical action. So when I asked them, why do you consider divorce as an unethical action? None of them, believe me, none of them told me that it is because Doni Polo has said so or because Doni Polo disapproves of it. All of them unanimously said that divorce is bad because it disturbs the ties that have been built because of the institution of marriage. Divorce is bad because it brings disharmony, discord in the society. So, their moral behavior is governed by their own thought processes, their own reflection on the life, where they regard harmonious relationships amongst each other as the highest value. They don't just regard maintaining harmonious relationships amongst the fellow beings as important value, but they also regard maintaining harmonious relationships with the nature around as equally important value. If you go to Ziro, you will see that it is lush green with paddy fields all over. Apatani people have mastered the skill of paddy cultivation, but they do it without the use of any machinery, any chemicals or pesticides. Because they don't use any chemicals or pesticides in their fields, they can grow fish into that water. These paddy fields require certain enclosures, so they build small bunds around it. But even on those bunds, they grow millet. Every Apatani house, Nishi house, has a kitchen garden where they grow vegetables for their daily use. So every waste material from the house goes to the garden. So maximum utilization of the resources is the mantra for their sustainable development model. Looking at this approach to the environment, UNESCO has recognized Ziro Valley, has nominated Ziro Valley as World Heritage Site. The labels that you and me and all the outsiders or the so-called mainstream people attach to tribal people and tribal religions in particular, like animism, primitivism, backwardness, nature worshippers, are definitely not apt. Their religions are equally based on strong philosophical principles. These philosophical foundations have guided their lives for centuries together. It is in fact our unawareness about these philosophical principles that is responsible for such labeling. So to avoid this kind of flawed understanding, we need to change. We, the so-called mainstream people, need to change our stereotypical way of looking at them.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon.